Hello guys, welcome back to another Android Studio tutorial. Today we are going to create an Android application that fetch information from MySQL database and display the information on a recycler view. And here is the Android application. And here I use a WAMP server application. So start WAMP server. And the green icon indicates that all the services on the server is now ready. Now open up your browser and type localhost go to PHP MyAdmin, and here we have a database called fruitdb, and there is a table called fruit details, and that table contains three columns of data: some fruit names, corresponding calories, and corresponding fat values. So these are the information available on this database. So now we are going to retrieve this information and display it on a recycler view. So start the Android application and click the display list button, and here it is. So here we have some progress dialog, and you can see the list is generating at the background. Okay, so now we fetch all these informations from MySQL database and display it on a recycler view in an Android application. Also you can see here there is title for each columns of data. So we have to add some header section for the recycler view. So now we are going to create an Android application similar to this one. So the first thing, we need to set up the server and database. So here I use a WAMP server. Now we are going to recreate the entire thing. So the green icon indicates all the services are running now. Now open up your browser and type localhost. This will open the home page of the server application. Type localhost and go to PHP MyAdmin. So the first thing here, I am going to add a new user to the database. So select the users and add a new user. Specify some name. Here I name it as Prabish, and specify the host. Here localhost. Specify some password. I name it as Prabish123. Retype the password Prabish123 and provide all the privileges and go. Okay, now we successfully add a new user to the database, and here is the new user. Now we are going to add a new database. Specify the database name as fruitdb and create the database. Okay, now the database is created. Now create a new table on it with name fruit details. Now specify the number of columns, 3 columns. Now here you need to specify the column names. First one is name, and here specify the data type, specify length 75, 70. Okay, now the second column, calories. It is of integer type. Now specify size 15. And the last one is fat. Now specify the data type. I specify the data type as decimal. Specify some size for it. Okay, and click save. Okay, now the table is created. Now we can see the structure of the table, and here we forget something. We forget to add the decimal part. So modify the table and put some decimal part too, and click save. Okay, so now we need to add some information into the database. We need to put some fruit names, corresponding calories, and corresponding fat. So use the insert command, and by using this command you have to put some information to the database. So here I add some information to the table, some fruit name, calories, and fat values. Okay, now the database and table is ready. Now we need to create the needed PHP script. So go to the C drive, go to the WAM folder, go to the public directory of WAM folder and create a new folder in it. And I create a new folder with the name fruit info. Okay, now open up your favorite text editor. Here I am going to use Notepad++ for writing PHP. First change the language into PHP. Select PHP language, and now I'm going to save this one into the newly created folder inside the WAM server. So go to the C drive, open up the WAM server folder, go to the public directory, and here is the newly created folder with the file name getFruitDetails.php. It's a PHP file, and click save. Okay, now we can write the PHP script. So start the script PHP and close the script. So first here I am going to declare some variables. Specify host equal to localhost. Now specify user equal to Prabish. Okay, now specify the password, pass equal to Prabish123. Now specify the database name, db equal to, our database name is fruitdb. Okay, so first we need to establish connection to the database. So con equal to, call the function called MySQLi connect. First pass the host, now pass user, and finally pass password, and for selecting the database pass the database name also. So this will establish connection to the database. Okay, now create some SQL query. So create a variable called query and select star from our table name is fruit details. Okay, now we need to execute this query. So result, create another variable called result is equal to MySQLi query. First pass the connection variable, second pass the query. Okay, now declare some variable called response and declare this one as an array. Okay, now start some loop, start a while loop. And specify some condition. Here the condition is row is equal to MySQLi fetch array and pass the variable called result. Okay, now we are going to create some name value pair in an array, or simply called an associative array. So array dot push, call the function called array dot push. First specify the target array. Here the target array is a response. And second parameter is another function called array. First you have to specify the name, and the first column name, identifier for the first column is name. Now fetch information from the 0th index. So row of 0, this is the first column value. Now the second column, identifier for the second column is calories, and fetch information from row of 1. and the last column fat row of 2. This one is the last row. And finally close the connection. So MySQLi and call the function called close. MySQLi close. And pass the connection variable. Here the connection variable is con. And finally we need to encode the data as a JSON and publish it. So echo and call the function JSON encode. First specify a JSON array name. So call the array function. Specify a JSON array name, server response, and pass the variable. Here the result is available on an array called response. Okay, so now we finish the PHP script. Save the file, and before going to use this script on a Android application, we can test it. So open your browser, type localhost, go to the fruit info folder, and the file name is get fruitdetails.php. And here it is. This is the response from server. It is a JSON data. So here is the JSON array name called the server response that contain number of objects in the form of name value pair. Okay, so now we finish the coding on. Now we finish the PHP script. Now we can create a new Android project. So start a new Android Studio project. Name it as specify name. RecyclerView with MySQL. RecyclerView with MySQL. Click next. Select an empty activity. Click next. Okay, and click finish. Okay, now the project is ready. So first thing here, we use some material widget. So you need to add the need.dependencies. So open up the build.gradle file, and here we use some RecyclerView. So we have to add dependencies for RecyclerView. So paste it here and change this one into RecyclerView. Okay, now perform sync. Okay, now the sync operation finishes. Close this file. So now I'm going to create another activity for display the list. So create a new activity. Select an empty activity. Specify the activity name as display list, and click finish. Okay, now the activity is created. Okay, now here I am going to add some RecyclerView to the layout. So first remove all the margins. Okay, now here I am going to add a new RecyclerView. So add a RecyclerView. Now specify width and height. Specify the width as much parent, height as wrap content. Okay, now specify an ID for the RecyclerView. So Android ID plus ID. Name it as RecyclerView. Okay. Now close this file. Now we need to add something inside the activity main.xml. Here we need to add a button. So add a button, change the text on the button into display list. Display list id is button. Now go to main activity.java, create some variable for button, name it as button. Now initialize this variable. Okay, find it. First typecast that one into button. Now find it. Find the view by id r.id.button. Okay, now create some click listener for the button. So button dot set on click listener, new on click listener, and from the on click method we have to start the newly created activity. So start activity and create a new indent object, new indent. First one is the context, so main activity dot this. Now specify the target activity class name, display list dot class. This will start another activity. Okay, now we need to perform some background operation. We need to fetch information from the database. So create a new Java class for the background task. So right click the package and create a new Java class. I name it as background task. And click OK. And this class extends async task. So first we have to specify some generic type for convenience. Here I am going to pass void for, we will change it later. Now you need to implement some lifecycle method of async task. You need to implement doing background method, and we need some other lifecycle methods. First one is on pre-execute. Now on progress update. And the last one is on post execute. Okay, so first we need to declare some variable for the JSON URL. So string, JSON string, I name it as JSON string, and specify the URL here. JSON string is equal to specify URL here. So our PHP script is available inside the WAM folder, inside public directory of WAM folder, and the folder name is fruit info and the file name is get fruit details. This is our URL path. And here I use some Genymotion virtual device. So to connect to the local host, we need the IPv4 address of the computer. So open up command prompt and type ipconfig. From here you need to find out your IPv4 address. Here is my IPv4 address. I have to use this IP address to connect to the local host. Okay, now go to Android Studio and specify the URL http colon and specify the IPv4 address 192.168.1.124. Okay, and specify the folder name fruit info, and the PHP script is getFruitDetails.php. getFruitDetails.php. Okay, this is the URL. So before going to use this URL, we can check the URL whether this URL is correct or not. So copy this URL and open up your browser and simply paste the URL on the address bar. And this is the response from server. This is the JSON response. So the URL is working fine. Okay. So now we need to do something in the do in background method. First we need to declare some variable for URL. URL, name it as URL equal to new URL, and pass the JSON URL, JSON string, and here we need to surround it with a try catch. And now create variable for HTTP URL connection. HTTP URL connection equal to URL dot open connection. URL dot open connection. Here we need to add some. Okay, cast it into HTTP URL connection and it throws some exception. So you need to add the needed catch block. Now we need to declare some input stream. Input stream, name it as input stream equal to HTTP URL connection dot get input stream. Now declare some buffer reader equal to new buffer reader, new input stream reader, and pass the input stream. Okay. Now we need to declare some string builder variable. So string builder equal to string builder is equal to new string builder, and declare some string variable called the line string line. Okay, now start some while loop, start some loop statement, start a while loop here, and specify some condition. While line is equal to buffer reader dot read line, and the condition is all these statement not equal to null, and all this is not is equal to null. This is the condition. Okay, now we need to append each of these lines to the buffer to the string builder. So string builder dot append line, and after each line put some new line. Okay. Now create some string variable, and before going to we need to close the HTTP URL connection. Now declare some string variable, string JSON string. JSON string is equal to string builder dot to string and trim. So before going to decode this JSON and display on a recycler view, we have to check whether the information fetch data from database or not. So now here I am going to print some message on logcat. So log.d, and with identifier JSON string, and print the variable JSON string. So now we need to set some permission for the application. So open up the Android manifest.xml, and here you need to specify some permissions. So users permission, we need the internet permission. Okay. Okay, now finish. Now start up some virtual device. So here I use Genymotion virtual devices, and start a Genymotion virtual device. Okay, before going to run the application, we forget to start the background task. We need to execute the background task. So go to display list.java. Here we need to create some object for the background task. So background task, name it as background task equal to new background task. Now execute the async task. So background task dot execute. Okay, now we can run the application. So run it. Select a virtual device. Okay, Before going to display the list, we need to clear the logcat window. So here I clear the logcat messages. Now click the display list button. Okay, now we search for the message JSON string, and here is the response from server. So we get the JSON object from MySQL to our Android application. All the informations are available on our application. So now we need to decode this information and display this information on a recycler view. So okay, so go to background task.java. So now we need to, so before going to add anything on it, we need to prepare the recycler view. So we need to add a custom layout for the recycler view. So go to the resource folder, right click the layout file and create a new layout resource file and name it as raw layout, and click OK. Okay, here some problem, rendering problem. Okay, we need to rebuild the project, build it again. Okay, fine. Now go to the XML file. First thing, we need to change the orientation, layout height. So first I am going to change the orientation into horizontal, and change the layout height, into 75 dp. Now here we need to add 3 text views for fruit name, calories and fat. So here I add 3 text views. First one with ID name, second text view with ID calories, and last text view with ID fat. So this is each row of the recycler view. So now we need to add another layout file for display the title for each columns. So create a new layout resource file and create a file name header layout. Click OK. Go to the XML file. First change the height of the layout into 65 dp. Now change the orientation into horizontal. Okay, now here add some background color for the layout. So Android background. And here I'm going to use the primary color as background. Okay. Here also we need to add 3 text views for display the column titles. So here I add 3 text views that display fruit name, calories and fat. Okay, this layout will display the header section of the recycler view. So close these files. Close all the unwanted files. Okay. Now we need to add a new Java class with the name fruit. Click OK. Now declare some variables in it. Private string name. Now private int calories. Now private float fat. Okay, change that one into double, that is better, double fat. Okay, now we need to add getter and setter methods for all these variables. So select getter and setter methods and select all these variables. Click OK. Now we need to add some constructor for this class. So add a constructor for this class, public fruit. And with 3 arguments, string, name calories, and final one is double fat. Now from the constructor we have to call the setter methods. So this dot set name and pass the name argument. Now this dot set calories and pass calories, and the last one is this dot set fat, pass fat. Okay, now close this file. Now we need to add another Java class file for the adapter for RecyclerView. So create a new Java class, name it as RecyclerAdapter. RecyclerAdapter. Click OK. And this class extends RecyclerView.adapter. Here we need to add some methods on create view holder, on bind view holder, and get item count. Click OK. So the first thing here, I am going to add some view holder class. So public static class RecyclerViewHolder, RecyclerViewHolder class, sorry, extends RecyclerView dot view holder, and here you need to add some constructor. Add a constructor for this class, public RecyclerViewHolder, and we need some argument for this constructor. Is a view object, and you need to pass the super keyword. Okay, so this is the view holder class. So now we need to change the generic type of this class into an object of RecyclerViewHolder, and the return type of this method is also an object of RecyclerViewHolder. And in this method, the first argument is an object of RecyclerViewHolder. Okay. Now here we need to declare some variables. Here I am going to declare an array list. Okay, declare some array list that contain objects of fruit class. Fruit, name it as array list, equal to new array list. Okay, now create some constructor for this class to initialize the array list. So public RecyclerAdapter, and with one argument is an array list that contain objects of fruit class, name it as array list. Now initialize our variable this dot array list, equal to array list. Okay, now from the get item count method, return the size of the array list. Now here we need to declare some variables, text view, a name, calories, and fat. Now initialize these variables from the constructor of this view holder class. So name equal to typecast that one into text view, and find view by id, r dot id dot name. Now second variable is calorie, so copy this statement, paste it here. Second variable is calories, and here it is calories, and the last variable is fat, and here it is fat. Okay, so now we initialize all the variables. Now go to the on create view holder, create some view argument, view equal to layout inflator dot from parent dot get context, parent dot get context dot inflate. So first here I'm going to inflate the row layout, so r dot layout dot row layout. Now parent, now false. Okay, now create some object for recycler view holder. Recycler view holder equal to a new recycler view holder and pass the view argument, view object. And finally here we need to return the object of recycler view holder. Now go to the onBind view holder method. Here we need to set data for the text views. So first get each of the object of the fruit class from the array list. So fruit equal to array list dot get and pass the position. Now we have to initialize the text view. So holder dot name dot set text and call the getter methods from the fruit class. So fruit dot get name. Now set the second text view. So holder dot calories dot set text. It's an integer, so convert that one into integer. So integer dot toString and call the getter method from fruit class. So fruit dot get calories, and the last one is fat. So holder dot fat dot set text. So the fat is a double, so string dot values of, call the getter method fruit dot get fat. Okay, now we set the data for the text views. Okay, now we have to add the header section for the recycler view. We need to add column titles. So here I'm going to declare some variables: private static final int type head equal to 0. Now declare another variable, private static final int type list is equal to 1, type list is equal to 1. And here you need to override one more method. You need to override one more method called get item view type, and if the position is 0 we have to inflate the header, otherwise we have to inflate the list. So if position equal to 0, if the position is 0 we have to return type head. In all other cases we have to return type list. Okay, now go to the onBind view holder. Here we have some variable called in position. Sorry, not this method. On create view holder, here we have an argument called the view type. So by using this argument we need to do something here. So add an if loop. If view type equal to type head, in that case we need to inflate the header layout. So I copy this statement and paste it here Here instead of the row layout you need to inflate the header layout. At position 0 we have to inflate the header layout, and copy these statements also and paste it here. And here I add one more argument. I pass the view type, okay, and return the recycler view holder. And the other case, else if view type equal to type list, in that case we need to inflate the row layout. So I copy all this statement, put it here. So if it is a list we need to inflate the list, and you need to return some null value from here. And if it is a head section we need to inflate the header layout, and if the view type is list we need to inflate the list row layout. And here we need one more argument, we need to pass the view type. Okay, now go to the view holder class. Here declare some variables, int view type, okay. Now here for this constructor we need one more variable called view type, and we have to check some condition here. If view type equal to list, if view type equal to type list, in that case we need to initialize these variables, put it here. Also we have to set some value for the view type variable. So this dot view type equal to view type, and the other case else if view type equal to, and here I change this one into type list, that is better. And the second case else if view type equal to type head, if it is equal to type head, in that case we have to set value for view type into type head. And here there is a mistake. Yeah, this one is view type, not view. Okay, that's it inside the view holder class. Now go to the on bind view holder. Here also we need to check something. If holder dot view type equal to type list, in that case we need to set data for the text views. So copy all this one, put it here. So here we have one additional row. We set some header, so we need to add one more. We need to add an additional count. So from the get item count method, add a +1, because there is an additional row at the heading section. Here also we need to deduce some position, so position -1. Okay, now we finish the coding inside the adapter. Now go to background task.java, and here we need to declare some variables. First one is a context, ctx. Now create some variable for activity, and create some constructor for this class, public background task, and with one argument is an object of context ctx. Now initialize these variables context and activity. So this dot ctx equal to ctx, and initialize the activity. So activity equal to typecast the context into activity and ctx. Okay. Now we need one more variable. We need some other variables. We need to declare some recycler view, and name it as recycler view. Now we need some variable for recycler view dot adapter. Name it as adapter. Now we need some variable for recycler view dot layout manager. Name it as layout manager. Okay, now we need to initialize these variables. So here I'm going to use the on pre-execute methods for initializing these variables. No need of this super keyword here. First we need to initialize the recycler view. So recycler view equal to typecast that one into recycler view, and use the activity variable activity dot find view by id r dot id dot recycler view. Okay. Now initialize the layout manager for recycler view. Layout manager equal to new layout manager and pass the context ctx. Okay. Now set the layout manager for recycler views. Recycler view dot set layout manager and pass the layout manager. Now recycler view dot set has a fixed set size into true. This will improve the performance of the recycler view. And we need to initialize adapter. So before going to initialize adapter, we need to add some array list. So here I am going to add some array list, and that contains some fruit objects. Name it as array list equal to new array list. Now we can initialize the adapter for the recycler view. So adapter equal to new recycler adapter and pass the array list. Okay. Now we need to set the adapter for recycler view. Recycler view dot set adapter and pass adapter. Okay, now go to display list.java. Here you need to pass two arguments. You need to pass one argument is at context. So display list dot this pass the context. Okay. Go back to background.java, background task.java. Now we need to decode the JSON data and display it on a recycler view. So now we are going to decode the JSON string. For that, here create some JSON object. Name it as JSON object equal to new JSON object and pass the JSON string. It throws some exception. You need to add the catch block. Okay. Now we need to declare some JSON array. First we need to fetch the JSON array from the JSON object. So JSON array equal to JSON object dot get JSON array, and the array name is server response. Okay. Now declare some variable called int count equal to 0. Now start some while loop. While specify condition count less than JSON array dot size, JSON array dot length. Okay. Now we need to get each of the object from the JSON array. So JSON, create another JSON object equal to JSON array dot get JSON object and pass the index. So we can use the count variable. Now increment the value of count by 1. Now we need to fetch each columns from the JSON object and pass that one to the fruit class. So create some object of fruit class, fruit equal to new fruit. Now we need to fetch the values for each columns from the JSON object. So the first one is name. So JSON object dot get string and the identifier is name. Now the second column JSON object dot get int and the identifier is calories. And the last column name is JSON object dot get double with identifier fat. Okay. Now we need to publish this. I'm going to publish the fruit object, publish progress fruit. So here the progress type is an object of fruit class, so you need to change this one into an object of fruit class. And for this method on progress update, the argument is an object of fruit class, so you need to change this one into fruit. No need of this super keyword. Now we need to add each of the fruit object into the array list. So array list dot add values of 0. So this will add each of the fruit class object to the array list. And finally we notify the adapter, notify dataset change. Okay. So now we almost finished coding. Now we can test it. Run the application, select a virtual device. Okay, now the application available on this virtual device, display list. Okay, there is no list, but the head section is working fine. We have the column titles. So first we need to check something inside the PHP script. So go to the WAM folder, go to the public folder of WAM folder, go to fruit info and open it. And here on the response, here is a spelling mistake. It is not respond, it is a response. Change that one into response. Okay, save the file again. Save it. Close it. Now go to Android Studio. Run the application again. Select a virtual device. And here it is. Now display the list. Display list. Okay, now we fetch information from MySQL database and display it on a recycler view. Okay, so we can check the database also. So go to localhost, we can compare it with the database. Go to PHP MyAdmin, open up your database, open the table, and here is the data available on this table. And here is the information that we fetch from the database. Okay. So now we need to put some progress dialog on the recycler view. So now I'm going to add a progress dialog. So here declare some variables for progress dialog. Progress dialog. Name it as progress dialog. And initialize the progress dialog from on pre-execute progress dialog equal to new progress dialog and pass context ctx. Now progress dialog dot set title. Please wait. Now set some message. Set message. List is loading. List is loading. progress dialog dot set indeterminate into true. Now progress dialog dot set cancelable into false. Set cancelable into false, and finally make it visible. Progress dialog dot show. Okay. Now inside the while loop here we need to put some slide pause. So pause the thread dot sleep, and sleep it for 1 second, and add some catch clause. And after finishing the background task, we need to dismiss the progress dialog. So there is no need of the super keyword. Now dismiss the progress dialog after finishing the background task. So progress dialog dot dismiss. Okay. Now run the application again. Select the virtual device. And display list. And here is the progress dialog, and you can see at the background now the list is generating. Okay, this is how we fetch information from MySQL database and display that information on a recycler view. I hope you understand the concepts. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel for getting more video updates. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.